All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So, what I'm going to call this podcast is You're Probably Boring and You Don't Even Know It. So, if you know anything about me, I try to help men with their identity sometimes. I have a program, Mastering Self-Confidence, where I really try to help men with their confidence. And a lot of guys that I end up talking to or end up just possibly hanging out with, or they end up being a client or corresponding with. It could even be on comments on YouTube or email. So I receive texts and all these different types of things, is men wanting to stand out a lot of times, but not knowing how to. And one of the things I talk about a lot is learning how to be interesting. I think that is so overlooked. I think a lot of people more or less get caught up in the way they look to a certain degree. Like, oh, I got to look good, or I got to be in shape, I got to be thin, I got to have a six-pack, I got to have a great hair, or I got to, you know what I mean? I have to have a great job, I got to be wealthy, I got to be all these things. But in the meantime, they're just very boring people. They're just not interesting. I don't know if you've ever had a chance, but I've traveled all over the country. So I've been able to speak to so many different people. And it's not a disrespect thing. I love listening to a lot of people. But a lot of people, when you talk to them, are just boring, as you know. And you'll give them you'll give them the time of day like anyone else, but it's not like somebody you really want to a lot of times interact with. And they could be a great person. But if they don't keep you engaged or they're not interesting, it's kind of like watching paint dry to a certain degree. Now, I'm also not going to say, too, let me put it this way, you may be very introverted. And I found out I'm very introverted after taking a test. I'm not telling you to go out and be Mr. Extrovert, where you got to be a big mouth, or you got to be the life of the party. And I'm also, though, telling you not to be the wallflower. But there is a balance there. If you do want to start being around beautiful, intelligent women, or just get noticed in general, it could be in the workplace, it could be in school. I don't care where the hell it is. For one, understand that that's what you want. You want some attention. Most people pretend they don't want attention. You got to understand you do. You may want people to look at you for one reason or another. They be interested in you. You may want to have discussions with different people. You may want them to respect you. You may want more work than you currently have. You may want to get into a certain school and you have to do certain things to kind of stand out. There's all these different things. It's okay. Just be honest with yourself. But back to being boring. Let's just hit this one. I talk a lot about life. If we look at social media, and it looks like all these people throughout the day are doing all these great things. And it could even be me. For the most part, those are just usually one-offs, a lot of them, especially photos. You're like, oh my God, they're doing that today, or they're doing that, or who knows when they did it, but they're this and that. A lot of people live boring lives. I'm going to tell you, life for the most part is boring. I remember when I was making a movie, I thought I could do all these scenes, and they were going to be super realistic. And, I'm going to film them like they really are. Holy shit, did I get a rude awakening. I'm like, I was dying. I'm like, no wonder the dialogue has to be incredible. No wonder a lot of the locations have to be incredible. No wonder the actors have to be incredible. No wonder the wardrobe and the lighting and all these things, because you got to keep people's attention. So I learned very quickly, just from doing that, how important it is to be interesting. And not only what I am or who I am, it's what I'm doing. I want to make sure people are interested in what I do and what I talk about. And again, I am not for everybody. I am probably for a lot less than most people. Like, I am somebody who does not want to always talk about money, let's say, where most of my friends do, or say real estate, even though I hang out with a bunch of real estate people. Like, a lot of things my buddies or friends or men, it could be cars, it could be fishing, it could be hunting, I'm good in sports, I like fashion, but for the most part, I can small talk with anybody, don't get me wrong. But I'm telling you right now, I don't usually want to talk about what a lot of people are talking about, because I'm not interested in what they're talking about. Not that saying that there's billions of people not interested in it. But, I know my strengths and weaknesses, right? I know what kind of makes me interesting. I know when talking to certain people, having certain discussions, and mainly making it about them a little more, too, helps, because I know they're going to be interested in what they're saying. And if I find myself interested in what they're saying or the subject matter, I'll keep it going. But if it's something I have no interest in, after a certain amount of time, I'm out. But the reason I bring that up is, for instance, if you are a guy out there looking to be in relationships or meet women, you have to be interesting. I'm telling you, if you sit there and you're boring, and your conversations are just weak, or you even though you're very knowledgeable, you're not coming off knowledgeable, or you may be coming off maybe too very arrogant. You also may be somebody who just doesn't like to listen as well, so that can be a turnoff to a certain degree. And all of this kind of back to, the boring thing, I guess you could say. And I want to wrap this up soon. I don't want these to be long. Is you know it as well as I do. When you're with people, you know who's boring and who isn't. And just because they are boring doesn't make them bad people by any means. I love hanging out with certain types of people that they may classify as boring because I like the peace and tranquility that they bring. So if you are somebody who you may consider yourself boring and very easygoing and all those things, hey, that's wonderful. Do whatever the hell you want. But I will say a lot of times those guys, I think, are looking for a type of woman that brings a lot of, brings more action. Because I think a lot of men like to complain about women being boring. Same with women complaining about men being boring. But they're not that exciting either. Especially when it comes to dialogue. I've been in relationships where I'm kind of, either I'm very quiet throughout the day a lot of times, or I'm very crazy and doing comedy and doing all these different things, doing bits and creating stuff and all that. So I'm kind of both ends. But I know one time I ended a relationship with somebody who was very quiet. And I always was kind of the one always talking more or less than the other one. And then she started dating somebody else who was quiet as well, quieter. And she once called me and said, Rich, I just want to ask you something, man. I'm having a hard time. I really like this guy, and I think I'm in love with him, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, that's wonderful. And she says, but I can't, even on the phone, it's hard to get a good conversation out of him. It's hard to, just communicate with him at times. He's so quiet throughout the day. Sometimes I don't even know he's in the house. And I used to say, well, here's the deal. She used to say to me, and she said, thank you for always keeping, she said, thanks for always keeping the conversation going, which we were laughing. And I finally said to her, give it time, have some patience. But see, my point being with her is you got to understand, it's kind of got to be a little balance there, I think, when it comes to not being boring, is what I should say. And in her case, she did take time. And as time went on, he started to open up more too. And that's what I told her. Maybe at the beginning of the relationship, he's just nervous. He's quiet. He may be afraid of saying something that may have, hurt her feelings or may have hurt the relationship. But you may have to be the one to help coach them. And he may right now look boring, or certain men or women, but as time goes on, I can assure you, that's not always going to be the case. They will open up and things may stop being so boring, I guess you could say. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you got any questions or comments, please feel free to hit me up. I'm at masteringselfconfidence.com. I'm also at richcelenza.com. So take care, everyone. And stop being so boring.